In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how you can do a cinemagraph. Here are several examples that I've already created. So a cinemagraph is where you actually take a recording, a video, and then you duplicate it and you freeze frame one part of it. So it looks like the rest of the image is frozen and one part is only moving. This has been very popular in advertising, especially on social media campaigns. This one right here might be tricky to find, but if you look here, of the water fountain drinking water and even him blinking. And the reason why I wanted two people instead of just focusing on the water is because I wanted you to see that there is motion going on and a video is happening and it is freeze framed. And here's the most recent one. And you can sort of see how this is working right here. Just the very glimpse of it. It almost looks like her shadow, but it is the tiles trying to match up. And I just wanted to single her out. So this was an experiment for myself as well. So here are the two men that actually made the term cinemagraph and popularized it. A really popular method is wind, and everything else is still. It looks like it's in the wind, but it's still, and then several things are shaking. Another one with the hair, a train moving, curtain moving, but she's absolutely still, and so is everything else. This one does a great job at it too, though. Though they're more in a model-like stance, you can see that happening. The breeze there and also her blinking really helps. This one I think is much more along the lines of the cinemagraph because of this movement and the action of movement around. But there are varying understandings of cinemagraphs. Let's get started on making one of our own. And I'm going to start off with this one, and you can do this if you'd like. This is sort of called like the frame understanding of how to do it because I'm framing a piece in there. I actually had my husband shake the honeysuckle bush behind my house so I can get a really hefty movement. So it really works best with a partner, and it works really good with a tripod or some way to stabilize your video taking because it can take a lot of practice to stand really still, whether you think you are or not. So if you have a tripod or a selfie stick or something like that, it immensely helps with this type of thing. But also just try your best, since most of this is experimentation anyways. So for here, I was on a chair out back, and I propped my elbows along the chair, and that really helped to stabilize it as well. This one I did not, and you can see this total shakiness. Really, I really wanted to focus on the light, but because of how much I was moving, the candle looks sort of like it's sliding along the way. But there are tricks to help with, and this one was freehand as well. And this one I actually got from pixels.com. I just took a video, so even if you just wanted to practice with someone else's video, you don't want to go through that sort of method on your own, go ahead and take one and practice with that. And this is my movie. And so I just took this right on my phone and I downloaded it, and that was that. And so this is the whole thing. So with this, I will definitely not be using all of this. And remember, these mountains, that can make your video big or small. So I have a lot of time here that I'm not going to use. I have about 14 seconds of video. Now first, what I want to do, I do not want sound on this, obviously. So I'm going to turn off that little sound button right there. Just make sure I have that out of the way. I'm going to pick a position that I like and how I would like to see it repeated. So I'm just going to scrub through a little bit. That just means I'm pulling my playhead here and going through. And we're going to do like right here. So I'm just going to bring the ends of both of these and bring them in, and then it's just going to repeat itself from there. Now usually with a GIF, it's around a second to maybe 2 seconds long. So, I mean, I think that's fine. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to do Command J, And you can see that they lined up right beside each other, and it's all under one video group. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring this up above that. So I'm just clicking and dragging that up till I see the bright blue 2 lines and dropping it. Now you can see that there are 2 different locations, and all I want to do now is bring this guy here and drag him over so he matches. Okay, so this is video on top of video. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to find a place in here that I sort of want to freeze frame. And I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to come up to Layer, Rasterize, Video. And you'll see that it has turned purple. Now you can change this or not. There's only going to be 2 layers, so it won't get too confusing for you. And what you're going to see now is that when I play this, it is completely frozen. And that is just because of the layering, right? So we have, we'll just say image on top and video at the bottom. So because the image is on top, obviously we can't see the video. What we have to do now is select where we want to see the video at. So I just want to do this right frame inside of here, and I want to select all of that. There's multiple ways you can do that. So you can work with one of these if you want to. I want to really work with the polygonal since it's more geometric, but the lasso tool, you can do quick selection, you can do magic wand, you can do pen tool. That's really up to you how you want to decide how to do that. I like quick selection tool. So I'm going to make sure I'm up here. This is selected. That's highlighted. I'm going to zoom in. And how you can do that with Command plus, or you can come down here to your zoom tool. And I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now it's nice because I have a color break, right? Like my glasses are, though they're in the same family with the blues and greens, they're quite different. So all I did was take my quick selection tool here and come over and just click and drag it around. Make a little extra. If I do that, all I have to do is hold down Option, and that's going to create a minus, and that's going to suck that back in where I don't need it to be. You can also do that by coming up here as well. So with that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a mask. So I'm just going to come right down here. And right now that mask has selected everything but that, okay? And what I want to do is inverse that. So I just have to do Command I. And you saw that instead of a majority of black, I went to a majority of white. So if I play this through now, the issue we have here, look at that, right? I didn't use a tripod and it was really shaky. That happens, right? Because the video is underneath. I'm masking it out. So this is basically, think of it as I'm cutting a hole in a piece of paper, and now I can see through the hole to the other piece of paper below. That's moving. That's what's happening. And because I wasn't still with my original piece of paper with the hole in it, we have these issues. But that is doable. Now, it's not going to be perfect because they're not going to line up. We're going to scale up a little bit, so they're not going to be 100% perfect. But it does relieve the issue. Again, if you use a tripod or really figure out how to steady yourself when filming, you'll be fine. So we're actually going to be scaling our video to help with that shakiness, so it can sort of fit in the frame a little bit better. So we're going to go to Edit, Transform, and Scale. And this message will come up. This is totally fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to scale up from the sides. Try not to do it from the middle so much, but from the sides is fine. And then you can push return, and you can see how that works. And the reason why it's going so slow, you can see down here, it's just loading again. So once it loads, which is fine now, and you can still see I need a little bit more. So I'm just going to go up again to Edit, Transform, and Scale. And let's scale that some more. And now I can see more of the sides here where I was lacking that last time. So still a little bit down there, but you get the general idea of it. And again, this is just a little bit of the time where you tweak it. So then Edit, Transform, Scale. You just get in there and you see how you can work best with it. and you can move it a little bit. And you no longer need to hold down Shift in Photoshop to scale properly if you have the most updated version. I just learned about this, so it's pretty exciting. So again, I might have to go a little bit bigger. And let's try that one. Enter again. Let it load. Again, it's going slow because it needs to load. It needs to refresh our changes. And there we go. So you might need to expand much more than you think you do to get the video to work right. And you can see it is a little bit off. Like, where do these flowers really go? This probably like goes like along here. But that's the helpfulness of a tripod, right? So when you're done saving, you just want to come up to File, Export, Save for Web. All right, and this box will come up. This is all correct. So the colors, because it's a gift, it's a smaller size, right? So it's not going to be thousands of colors. It's going to be 256. That's the highest it will go for a GIF or GIF, whatever your preference is. But all of this is totally fine. Now, what you might want to do is, and that's fine too, what you might want to do is percent. You might want to bring that down to 50. If you want a smaller size GIF to maybe load faster, go ahead and bring that down to 50 or keep it at 100%. What you saw here, this I saved at 100%. My first one here I saved at 50, so you can see how it's starting to speckle, right? Where this one was saved at 50% too, but it's a little bit harder just because there's much more information on there. This one was saved at 50, and so was this. So you can see this was saved at 100, so you can see the differences there. So that's really up to you as well, what you want to do. And then looping options, you want to do that forever. What I also want to show you, what I've realized with GIFs, you can load those onto sites and different things like that, but if you want to show this maybe for a portfolio or send it easily to some friends, and it's not on like a social media thing, you want to use YouTube, YouTube doesn't accept GIFs. So what you have to do is go to Export, Render Video, and I will save that then as an MP4. Of course, you want to rename that H264, of course. 2997 is fine. It's usually between 24 and 30 frames per second, FPS. And then there you go. And then you would push render, and then it would come up just fine. So those are two saving mechanisms. If you want a GIF, of course, a little bit differently saved, use a little bit differently, but that is the gist of how to make a cinemagraph, which is pretty cool. So with that one, I really covered how to do, of course, this one. This is the same concept where I went here, and this one I actually penciled out, and then I went to my paths, made that a selection, and then I went back and masked it. This one, the same thing. I did my pencil because I want to work with more of a natural curve to see how well that went. And then this one, I think I used quick selection. Now this one, I'll do a separate video on because it's a little bit of a different process. This one here, I used the pencil, and I basically penciled out 1, 2, 3, 4 to make a box. And I wanted to see how far she could walk without anybody else coming in, so I had to shorten it quite a lot because he would come in or they would come in. So you just have to know that if you're using a video that you didn't create and direct, really, then you have less options. So just remember that. But I'll make another video on how to use this with another technique. And there you go.